and where these polls are coming in right now. Let's get some assessment on this from former Congressman Dennis Kucinich, Democrat from Ohio and Fox News contributor, and Matt Schlapp, former White House political director for President George W. Bush. Gentlemen, thank you for being here this morning. Happy Sunday to you. Good to see you both on a Sunday. Dennis Kucinich, let me start with you. You see the polls. There's a wide spread. What's your take on how all of this is getting across to the American people?
Well, first of all, the American people should keep in mind that polls are like weather reports. They may tell you the sun is shining today, but on Election Day, 3 weeks from now and more, there could be a storm. So polls might give you some indication, but frankly, given the beating that Trump has taken in the media over the last couple of weeks, it's surprising that it's still this close.
Let's take a look at the enthusiasm poll that just came out and get a sense of where, each side's voters are for them. Enthusiasm among Donald Trump supporters. Last month it was at 91%, bit of erosion there at 79. Let's take a look at Hillary Clinton's number because, this goes to intensity and turnout and all of those issues. Do we have all right, we don't have Hillary Clinton's number on that, but I think I have it in here somewhere. Anyway, Matt, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I think what we've seen in this race all along, by the way, I agree with Dennis that, the kitchen sink is literally on Donald Trump's head. He's had everything dumped on him. And the fact that there are polls that show him 4 and 5 points down, some within the margin of error, it just shows you that people have hardened. When you get to this question of intensity, look, I think when you hear the negative inflow of news on Donald Trump on the major networks is 20-1. 20 negative stories to 1 positive story or negative story on Hillary Clinton. So the negative flow has got his supporters worried. They look at these stories, it's jarring, and it has an effect. But what it's not doing, surprisingly, is causing a lot of people to leave him. People are sticking with him, and I think it's a very positive sign for him.
But it's going to be the people in the middle, that we see in these polls over the course of the last couple of months who seem to kind of go back and forth between these two at different junctures in all of this. And Dennis Kucinich, in terms of Donald Trump, has he done anything to sort of try to fix that gap?
Well, listen, this election is very volatile. Donald Trump has made some major mistakes, but, this is an election where you have 2 candidates whose unfavorables are very high. And in the end, it's going to come down to who the American people will trust to be the next president. Both candidates are flawed. Both candidates have records that are going to be attacked vigorously in the last 3 weeks. And I want to say this, that keep an eye on what happens in the last 10 days of the election, because from my experience in politics, that is what could turn the election. In the last 10 days, any issue that appears to be an old issue that comes up could still have resonance in the final days of the campaign.
I actually agree with that, Martha. For the first time, we've never had an October like this, with everything being dumped. These WikiLeaks emails seeing the Clinton officials speak disparagingly against Christians and Catholics. There's so much out there. Bill Clinton gets $1 million from the government of Qatar. I mean, there's so much for people to go through. I actually think we have so much noise, so much clutter, so much dust out there in the electorate. I'm not so sure the last 10 days are going to matter. If the Clinton administration thinks they have more things they can dump on Donald Trump in the last 10 days, or the Clinton campaign, to try to change this race, I think they're mistaken. They have put so much out there, it's hard for the voter to digest it all.
But let's take a look at how each candidate is doing with women, because this is obviously, when you do the postscript on all of this, this is a group that you're going to look at. Do you think that Donald Trump's treatment of women is a legitimate issue? 55% say yes, 42% say no. Matt, in the end, when you talk about this, you look at individual issues. Here's Bill Clinton. Is his treatment of women a legitimate issue? 30% say yes, 67% say no, Matt. So is it a mistake for Donald Trump to be going down that road and bringing up Bill Clinton at this point?
Martha, I think we should be talking about the issues the voters care about. It's about the economy and the fact that their wages have been stagnant for over a decade. Yeah. It's about radical Islamic terrorism, and it's the fact that Washington's broken and we need a disruptor in Washington. That being said, on defense, if they're going to attack him on his sexual morality, for him to go back, when the Clintons say it's going to be 2-4-1, When you elect Hillary, you get Bill running the economy. Well, that brings Bill into it. By the way, he's also one of her #1 surrogates out there on the road. If he's not involved in this campaign, then quit putting him out there as your surrogate. Bench him. He was impeached. He was disbarred. He paid over $1 million in fines. And if he's going to be out there on the campaign trail, it's all legitimate.
And he'll be moving back into the White House. So that is
as the first gentleman, Martha, as the first gentleman. That is ironic.
All right. Thank you very much. Good to see you, gentlemen.
Thanks.